Hello, I'm Laura Davis, a time management strategist, and I work with working moms to help them ditch the hot mess and level up their work life balance using really simple and realistic time management frameworks. So, in today's episode, we are going to talk about the difference between planning and managing your time. And I wanted to kick this off with a story about how this topic even came up because it's not something that's ever really talked about. So, every Friday, I meet with an amazing small group of friends and women business owners, and we call ourselves the Ladies Who Plan. And in this meeting, I brought my wall calendar. I have a big wall calendar that sits over here to the side where I like to plan out big life rocks on this calendar and big business rocks on this calendar. And I walked in and I pulled out my paper calendar. And one of my friends was like, "How come you get a paper calendar?" Because if you know me and if you follow any of my social media channels or if you've watched any of these other videos, I do have a digital first approach to managing your time. And so what that means is like of it is on Google Calendar, that type of thing. So, what was really interesting is when I responded, my answer was, well, this is used for planning. I don't use paper to manage my time. And so that kicked off a conversation around what's the difference between planning and managing your time. And so, because of that conversation, I thought, if it was interesting enough in that group, then it should definitely be talked about more publicly. And so, I want to pull up my notes because I want to make sure that I cover everything that I think is really important and the difference between planning and managing your time and what some of those tools look like to do both. So, first of all, there is a very real possibility that you could fall into one of these two camps. You might be really, really, really great at planning, but somehow your day to day life still feels like chaos. And so maybe you're really good at like mapping out goals. Maybe you love to create project plans at work. Maybe, you really like to look at a house project and say, what's the timeline? How can I get this done? But then when it actually comes down to you executing and managing those individual steps of the project that you built, that's where things kind of start to break down and you start to get a little bit overwhelmed. And in the other camp, the opposite of that is that you may be really great at checking off your daily to-do list. You might love a good to-do list and just hammering out those tasks. You might be like a productivity powerhouse in just marking off to-do lists, but you feel really overwhelmed and almost ill-equipped to look at a long-term plan or to set goals. Maybe you're somebody who avoids setting goals in your business because the thought of adding in additional things that you need to work toward or things that you need to do in the day to day to accomplish something big just feels really overwhelming to you. If you fall into either one of those camps, I want you to first know that you're not alone. And I also want to say that the camp that you fall into can flip flop sometimes. But for the most part, you may fall into one of those two camps. And this is where the difference between planning and managing your time comes in. So, planning is all about taking something big, like a big project, a big goal, and breaking it down into bite sized, manageable tasks. This is your 30,000 foot view of what's coming. So, think about like if you're up in an airplane and you look down over New York City, you have a really great view of all of New York City, right? So with planning, this is where pen and paper comes in. You can use a wall calendar. I even have a post-it note method that I teach all of my clients in Time Management Academy. And even like sometimes people have big acrylic wall calendars that show the entire year up on their wall. Those tools are all really great for planning. Now, when it comes to managing your time, on the other hand, this is where really and truly the rubber meets the road. So it is managing your time is where you are using the system every single day to manage your day to day and keep your life running smoothly and feeling peace about your life, right? It's the up close view of your week to week and your day to day. So this is where using that New York City analogy, this is where you are on the streets of New York City and you are navigating those streets every single day to get to where you need to go. And as a mom who works full time and you are juggling a lot of priorities, your time management system needs to be a digital first approach. And this is, like I said a little bit ago, this is the foundation of what I teach inside Time Management Academy, because having a digital first approach allows the mental load to get out of your brain and onto your calendar. So one of the things that I swear I'm going to make a t-shirt one day, one of the things that I always say to my clients is let your calendar bear the mental load, not your brain. And so that's why I truly believe in a digital first approach when it comes to managing your time, not necessarily planning. And so the goal with a digital first approach for managing your time is less stress and more peace, and being able to manage that day to day without feeling overwhelmed while still accomplishing those big goals that you want to accomplish. And so again, here's kind of some common themes of what I've seen with working moms and full-time entrepreneur moms, is that you can be an amazing planner and you can have your projects mapped out. You have very clear deadlines and it all looks perfect on paper, right? But then when it comes to the execution part, the daily of, okay, I have all of these steps. Now, how do I actually fit them into my day to get them done? That's when you become overwhelmed and you shut down, and then you're not reaching your goals because you're not sure how to incorporate them into your day-to-day schedule. And then again, on the flip side, maybe you're really good at managing that day to day. Maybe you are a time management pro. You are crushing your routines. You have that daily to-do list and you are just marking it off like a badass, right? But when you stop to look up, you realize that you're not making progress on your big goals because you're too intimidated or scared or hesitant to set them, because you just don't know how you could fit anything else in. You're already just on the cusp of managing the day-to-day life really well. And so this is where the magic is in the balance. And this is really why mastering both of those components, planning and managing your time, is really important. And this is why I teach both of them, but I teach them both in such a different way, because they are two different skill sets. And so, you don't have to figure this out alone. And I would say if what you just heard in this episode resonated with you, and if you are ready to balance that or master that balancing act, I would say the best next step for you is the Master Your Workweek Challenge. And this is where we tackle and you get a little bit of a taste of how I teach planning and how I teach time management. And this way you can finally feel in control of your goals and your day-to-day life. So I want to encourage you to join the 5-day Master Your Workweek Challenge. You can sign up at www.thelauraddavis.com/workweek. And it's less than 15 minutes a day. There is a quick win action item every single day for you to do. And after those 5 days, you're really going to see a difference. And I want you to imagine finishing the week feeling like you've moved the needle on those big goals, and you've also kept your day running smoothly at the same time. And that sounds like what you want, right? So again, thelauraddavis.com/workweek. I will also put the link in the show notes for this episode. I hope that this was really helpful, learning the difference between planning and managing your time. And of course, if you have any questions, I would love for you to reach out to me on Instagram. It's .laura.davis, and I will see you in the next episode.